Hi everyone, this is Callie from The Truth in Story, and I'm back with another Snapshot Divination. I know that I kind of slipped off on these because I got sick. I slipped off on everything, but I do want to continue to go work through the different divination tools that I have, because I quite like the idea of having just a quick snapshot on the different types of divination that are that I'm familiar with. Obviously, there are more than what I have and am familiar with. But today we're going to be looking at charm casting. I have several videos on charm casting. I will put a link to the playlist in the description box below. I have it where I was first set a year or two ago when I was setting some charm sets up, and I think I have a more recent sort of update on charm casting. So I'm not going to go into a whole, again, I'm trying to keep these as being actual snapshots of the divination, not intending to teach you everything there is to know about them, but just give you an idea of how it works and why I might choose this particular divination tool over a different one. So with charm casting, this is something, in my opinion, that it has its roots back probably as far as long as there have been people, right? I think that I believe that human beings naturally pick up what is around them to be able to use to answer questions that they are concerned about. You know, what's going on in the world around them? What do they need to know? Are they going to be okay? You know, are they going to have food? So they would pick up everything that's around them, from playing cards, as we've talked about, to pieces of tossing bones is something that you can find in many different cultures, and just sticks, different size and sticks can be done. Shells can be done. Lots of different things where we're picking up what's in the world around us and using those to cast divination with. I think it's an extremely old, I personally think is, again, as long as there have been human beings with stuff around them, they probably picked them up and cast them in some form. Just my opinion, not historical fact. Today's day and age, we have lots of things that are in the world around us that we can grab hold of to create a set of charm casting. Now, this is my set of working charm casting set of charms. This is the one I actually use to do readings with. I do have a lot of them. Some people have much smaller sets. My deck, and again, I will have links to how I set this up, videos of how I set this up, but because I wanted to make sure it was balanced and it kind of covered all of the bases, I actually have something in here that represents each of the Lenormand cards. So for example, I have a rock here for mountain. This actually stands for the garden. This stands for the bouquet. We have the sun, right? We have the moon. I have a star card here somewhere. I use this for the bear card, just the idea of strength that is there. I have other charms. So I made sure to have a base of Lenormand because I know, A, that it covers all the bases, and B, because I read charm casting similar to Lenormand in terms of significators. So if I'm going to look, once I've cast all these out, in order to narrow down what I should be focusing on, I look for, okay, what's around the heart? If I want to look for matters of love, what's around the anchor for work, for me? So that's just how I personally read. So it was important for me to have it was easy for me to have all the Lenormand cards shown. And then I have other things. I have this is a charm that was my grandmother's. She had one for all of the grandkids, as well as she had a big charm bracelet, and when she passed, we were given certain charms, and this actually has my birth date on it and my name on it, and so this is really that sort of idea of our connection to our family, and that type of thing. It can also stand in, of course, for the significator, but I have another, I have this right here. I have these two silhouettes. of course, they get buried. I have a silhouette of a boy and a girl, and those are used for significators for people if I want to use it that way. Sometimes I don't need that because it's a specific question. You know, I have a fish here. So these have just been collected, and this is a lotus, which is a really important concept for me. This was an old necklace that I have. You can see where it broke off, and that got put in. This was just a random little tumble stone here. I like the use of the dice because I can use those numbers. I can add them up and create numbers out of it. This was also one of my grandmother's charms here. I love the mask here. A tower, here's a letter, here's a tree. Here we have a book, which is awesome. But many of these were collected from charms, such as you can get at hobby stores. They're relatively cheap. You can get big sets of miscellaneous ones on Etsy and places of that nature, or you can go to craft stores. Well, here, Michael's, Joann's Fabrics, as well as Hobby Lobbies, all sells these little charms singly and sometimes in sets, themed sets. And you use a coupon, you can, I just slowly accumulated these when I was working on it. This was from a whole set of words for scrapbooking, but I just kept the one that I wanted to keep. I have an old I Ching coin that I use for tossing I Ching, but this gives me that yin and yang energy. What else is random? This is a random ring. And so this is just an old ring that is tarnished. So I have that there that I picked up. Let's see what else. I think there's an actual key here. This is just a little key that was for like a little lock. It was an actual key that got put into there. So you can just kind of collect random things that are around you, as well as the different charms. This is on my dad's. This is the path cards, the making a decision one way or another. This was on my father's military insignias with his different pins and things that he earned, and this was on his jacket and his mine, but that is my path card. So they can be a combination of found things as well as then things that you might or charms that you might pick up deliberately. And so that is what my charm set looks like. Everybody's charm set is going to look very different, but this is mine. How I use this, let me put all these back up. Now you can also put papers in these. This thing I got at a craft store. You can see that it had used to have a hook on here for hanging on the wall, and this is a 12 by 12. It was made to fit a piece of scrapbook paper and do like a collage or whatever you're going to do, and then hang it on the wall. But I love it because it has this little lip here so that the charms stay in, and so I love it for that. It's just the perfect size for my reading, because I do these for people for readings, and so it fits in. You can see it fits in the camera, so it's the perfect size. But the lip keeps the charms from flying everywhere. It can also fit a piece of scrapbook paper in if I wanted to put a pretty backing. I do sometimes like to put one in. I used to. Anymore I just do it as it is. But you can kind of see it split into quadrants and have that as your 4 elements. You can have circles where you have inner and outer. You can have a full Lenormand spread where if it falls on the houses. There are different kinds of sheets that you can get or make for yourself. I played around with those when I first was doing charm casting. I personally this is how I cast. And so you want something, of course, to mix it up in. I really like these. They're like paper mache boxes that you can get. I think you're meant to decorate them, to paint them or whatever. But what's nice about them is that they're not so loud as, say, like a jar or something like that, because they are just this kind of paper. Now, it's still loud, in the microphone probably, but it's much less loud than it would be if it was in something harder. So I quite like these. So I just give it a good shake, thinking, just as when you're shuffling, thinking about my question. If it's just a general reading, it can be a general reading. If I have a specific question, then I would ask a specific question. But let's say somebody had a question about a work. So and I would be kind of okay, la, 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 and then I would cast, right? And then because of the way that I read, and not everybody has to read this way, right? But because of the way I read, then I would be looking at what I have down here on the table, and I would be looking for the anchor, because for me that is like with Lenormand, in that it represents work. So I'm going to look, and you can see how it's almost made this kind of line right here, and I can actually keep going. Those seem to be very much significant, but especially this chunk right here. Again, your intuition is going to come into play, but right when you first look at it, for me, these kind of stand out as being significant, right? So here we have the work. We do have the scissors card. The scissors card for me is that idea of cutting. It's very much just the idea of the scythe card. Something may be ending in order to reap something, but it's time isn't. We have the bouquet here, which would have for me to do again with that idea of good things that are coming, but it is flipped over face down, so I don't feel like that. It may take a little while to happen. It may be right now in the cutting phase, not so much in the reaping phase yet. We do have the crystal ball here, needing to pay attention and listen to their own intuition. We do have the number 28 card, which is kind of masculine energy. If I was reading for somebody who's male or female, I might take that into account, but if I was doing general, I would use that more. Because this is a specific question, I think of that as that energy that's going on, and needing to really take an active role in this process and really listening to your own intuition. We do have the sense of masks, but there are masks that have been flipped over. So really needing to listen to your instinct and maybe take off any blinders and masks that you may be around, going out about what works, so that you can really see the situation clearly. Because this active role is here, I might peek over at the I Ching and see that it's upright in the yin position. So, okay, maybe that's a problem, that the energy is a little bit too, and it's actually covering up. And we also have, it's on top of the, what would be the 29, more receptive energy if you're reading it that way. So that would then give me, that jumps out at me, and I would say, okay, well, you do need to take an active role, because right now there's a lot of passive energy, and maybe that's not really serving you well in this situation at work. Again, this is just, a fake reading, so they don't go all that well, right? Or they don't really always go that well. But this also jumps out at me, because what is the key? The key is the journey. So the key to success is, the journey card is movement, right? And this is actually my ship card, so that does also indicate that things may take, maybe going to take a little while, because we can see things aren't quite ready for all that good stuff to come. But so timing wise, this may take a little while, but understand that this journey that you're on is leading to success, because we have the key here with success. So right off the right off the bat, those are the things that are jumping out at me. I could also go 6 and 6 is 12, 13, 14, 15. 5 plus 1 is 6, and 6 is a harmonizing number. And I could think, okay, well, that's we need to bring some harmonizing and some balance in, because right now we're just kind of seeing painful situation and not quite ready to pull in the good things that can come. And so I often, now right now this is too cluttered here, so it's not standing out to me. The arrow, this arrow I love. I highly recommend having an arrow in your charm set, because I really can use this as, what is this pointing to, right? Which is the lilies, which is again a harmonizing figure, right? Because right now we've got this clouds over that sense of harmony that comes with the lily card. And so that is pointing out we need to rebalance things, because we have the 6 there as well. But I always look to see what is the arrow pointing to, because that often for me ends up really showing some interesting things. So I quite enjoy that as well. We can see that the sun is flipped over, which kind of makes, goes in with what we're seeing. Things, it's not a period of growth right now. Right right now. It's kind of more of a period of cutting. And so again, you just kind of read what you see, so to speak. Things that are off and away I may not pay attention to. And again, because I do use a fairly large set, that's important for me to then understand my significators, because that's what helps me navigate a lot of things, but focus in on what is important for that particular question. And so that is what charm casting is. For me, charm casting is very similar to Lenormand because of the style of reading. It's quick, it's blunt, it's telling you what's going on, but there is a beautiful, even more randomness in how things are going to clump together. Where are they going to turn out? Are they flipped over on each other? Are they stacked on top of each other? Is something upright, or is it upside down, which you don't always get in Lenormand? There is a puzzle. It's a puzzlement. There is a puzzle factor to this that is really fun and dynamic and multi-layered. So it's just a really, I get similar readings to Lenormand, but there is, again, a much more organic way in which they are connecting and interacting with each other. And that's what, for me, makes charm casting really fun. Now, the other way that I love to use charms for is, again, my charms are another reason why I like this lip. It does make it really handy to put things away. The other way is, let's say I'm doing a reading. So I'm just pulling this deck that I have right here. And let's say I have 3 cards here. I have Gentleness, I have the Pilgrimage, you're on a journey, and I have the Faith card. You know, trust that the journey that you're on is taking you where you go. Be kind to yourself. Hold space for yourself, right? So this is an encouraging message. And then I might just kind of mess around and just grab and drop. I do try to drop a little bit more uniformly, but then I might see, okay, well, look at where the acorn landed. The acorn, which is about growth, it's going to come from that gentleness. Strength is gentleness. It's understanding and tapping into and planting the seeds of kindness for yourself and whatever the situation might be, and that's going to lead to growth. We have the dragon right here, which is really strong for me. And look at, we have the pilgrimage and the journey, and we have the compass. Right now, you may not feel like you know the way because we have that flipped over, but you do have that strength and that tapping into the wisdom and the strength that dragons, for me, portray, that is going to help you find your way, which is going to, again, lead you to that understanding that you're not on your own. You might feel that way because the heart is flipped over upside down. We have the number 5, which is a number of discord and things being shook up a little bit, right? But we do have the figure for balance here, and we also have repetitive friendships with the whip, or what is the whip card, or the rod card for me, and the dog card. So you want to lean into and trust in your relationships. That's going to perhaps get you through. You may not feel like you have it, but you actually do. You're just not feeling it right now, and you need to trust that as you move forward. Again, just throwing these out there, right? But this is a really nice way to kind of add another layer onto a card reading that you might be doing. So those are the 2 ways in which I use charm casting. Other people may have various ways that they use it, and I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Again, this isn't really meant to give you a full-on lesson on it, but again, Snapchat, that we're just kind of doing Snapchat divination series to give you an idea of the different things that are out there. This is a fun one to collect. I started with an actual list of Lenormand cards, then started to find things to fit in, and then just started collecting. And I do have other charms than this. This is has been for quite some time, my working set of charms. And it feels really balanced. It does what I need it to do. And while I haven't for a while seen something and thought, you know what, that doesn't really that fills in a gap that I don't currently have. This has been a pretty stable set for me for quite some time. But it's fun to create your own set out of found things and purchase things, and it's just a lot of fun. Have patience, enjoy the journey of collecting them. Enjoy that journey, because that's a lot of fun, and you really start to kind of refine. And when I did go through, once I had a bunch of charms, I did go through a process of using it and thinking, you know what, what, this is actually duplicate energy. I don't need both of these, or this just doesn't feel like it's working or meshing. I don't need that. And kind of putting things back in, taking things out until it started to really come together cohesively. So that whole process is really a lot of fun to do, and I would say to enjoy the process, right? So I hope that you've enjoyed this Snapchat, or I keep saying that, Snapshot Divination on charm casting.